What's going on, everybody, ladies and gents? This is episode 90 of the Standing Eight podcast. I'm your host for today, for this afternoon, evening, depending on where you're at. Aaron Sorial at the Risk Manager. It's a full house, six deep. Uh, it's been a while, packed house. So we got some exciting fights to talk about. Major fights that happened over the course of the previous 2 weeks. We're first going to get right into it with last night's fight of William Zepeda stopping Jaime Arboleda last night at the College Park Arena at the University of Arlington in Texas. We'll get right into that, and then towards the end, we'll be giving our belated reaction review of Gervonta Davis' 7th round KO victory over Ryan Garcia. But before we hit into that, let me do a roll call. We got Tommy Russ Jr. In the building. How you doing today, Tommy?
Hey man, I'm making it. We had a long night last night, but I'm making it. It was a great night, so you know what I'm saying. But this right here, this gives us the energy. So I'm here. I'm ready to get at it. Doing well, man.
Awesome. And also, we got the first lady of boxing, Tiffany Daniels, in the building. Always an honor to have her on. Tiffany, how you doing today?
I'm fantastic, a little tired, but I'm here. Like Tommy said, we're here bringing the energy. So thanks for having me.
Yeah. I think we're all tired, respectively, but we're gonna keep our energy levels up best we can. Keep it rocking tonight in this episode. Next up, we got Jimmy Blue, Jimmy Blue from All Access Boxing. What's up, man? Glad you're with us. I know you were at the fights on that Goldenboy DAZN card last night. First off, congratulations on reaching your highest point of followers. I forgot the exact number, but yeah, go ahead. Share some light on that, and welcome to the show. How you doing, man?
Well, listen, man, first and foremost, it's your boy Jimmy Blue, Mr. All Access Elite Boxing, reported live from Arlington, Texas. Look, guys, I want to thank each and everybody that's tuning in tonight, showing love to the Standing Eight podcast. We got the first lady in the building, my guy Tommy, my guy Aaron, my boy Ringside, my boy Courtney, a.k.a. Burt Brown Sugar. You know what I'm saying? We got Jimmy Blue. Look, man, I'm excited to talk boxing. I want to thank the 80,000 followers that have been supporting and have been loyal to the brand. Shout outs to my sponsors, Elite Striping LLC, the elite of the elite, the best of the best. I'm ready to talk some boxing.
Awesome. And we have none other than Stephen Ruiz from Ringside Global. He was out there with Tommy and Jimmy Blue last night, also rocking our merch. But what's up, Stephen? Always a pleasure to have you on. Any opening words for tonight's episode 90?
Man, I'm excited. We had a lot of great content, like you said. Man, the weekend was awesome for us, for Standing Eight, to be out there. Big shout out to Tommy, because he was my partner in crime through the weekend. Jimmy Blue was out there last night. We got to see him. We had some great photos. I Ubered last night. Tommy rushed home at 3 a.m. from the hotel, the Fighter Hotel. And then Jimmy Blue, we're all putting in work, talking boxing, talking with fans, talking with the fighters at the hotel afters. Just setting up more stuff, stuff in San Antonio in July. So a lot of great stuff. We had dinner with William Zepeda on Friday. He sat and just had dinner with us. So he owes me $20-$30 for his hamburger. I went ahead and took care of that for the champ. So I take part of that victory last night is on me. So, he could thank me. But no, that guy was tremendous. We got a lot of great stuff to talk about.
As long as it didn't consist of any clenbuterol, Reese, he's good.
No tainted meat there. He actually, Jimmy Blue will like this, did not have Canelo in his top 5 of Mexicans that he likes. So it hurt my heart. I was about to get the tab right back and be like, I put that on his room. But hey, he's a good dude.
Great stuff. And also the one and only Courtney, the Burt Brown Sugar Tanner. Always an honor to have you with us, blessing us with your insights. How you doing tonight on this episode 90? What's up, Courtney?
Hey, what's going on, y'all? Hey, blessed to be back in the building with y'all. Hey, to do, my favorite, not even extracurricular activity, but lifestyle, lifeblood activity. That's talking that boxing. You know what it is. You know what it ain't. It's your boy, Burt Brown Sugar, the one you love to hate and the one you hate to love. Hey, we can handle this like some gentleman and lady, or we can hop into some boxing-ish. Hey, let's dispense with all these pleasantries and engage in this war of words. I'm ready to get to it, y'all.
Hey, Courtney, I gotta, you kind of hit the high note there. That was pretty cool. So,
I know, man.
awesome.
Hey, puberty.
That's what's up. Anyways, let's get right into it. So last night we had the WBA Continental Lightweight Champion William El Camarón Zepeda representing San Mateo and Teco, Mexico, with the second round knockout of Jaime Arboleda. Zepeda now 28-0, 24 impressive knockouts, taking advantage of the Goldenboy DAZN card at College Park Center of the University of Texas Arlington, which was originally slated for Vergil Ortiz Jr. and Eimantas Stantionis. So Zepeda definitely taking advantage of that situation there. But yeah, Zepeda himself, before that fight, he's been building himself up as a top championship contender, beating Hector Tanaharaha. I don't want to, if I didn't butcher his name, Junior back in July 2021 for the WBA Continental Lightweight title, as well as shutting out Joseph Diaz for the unanimous decision victory in October of last year in Indio, California. So he's been, bubbling up, rising above the surface. So let's talk about that performance. Let's start with you, Stephen Ruiz. Give us your take on that fight.
Man, there were so many great night. It was a great night of boxing. The anticipation started getting ratcheted up. So you started to see the fights got very more and more serious because, you had the guys that people came out to see. Man, Zepeda he looked incredible. He came out, wasted no time. Some fighters, you feel like they're going to go out there and maybe get some rounds in, maybe get some work in, but that guy was not there to play any games. Like I said, he came out. He's at the hotel. Me, Tommy, and some of our guys were sitting at the hotel. He walks down. We ask him, who are you going to sit with or what are you doing? Or he's just like, no, just going to eat, calm. So he was like calm, cool, and collected. The night before, he's just strolling the hotel, sits down, eats a burger with us, like I said, and just a really cool dude. No nerves, just looked like a real pro. So a lot of that stuff kind of, without him saying a lot of stuff, it kind of struck to me like, man, this guy he's not really worried. He's going to take care of business. It looks like he took care of his fight camp. He was telling us that he trains in Mexico at the high altitude, and just his family comes from Olympians. They're all Olympians. So he said, it's a lot in my genetics. I asked him, do you train to put that much output, or is that just something that's natural to you? And he was like, no, it's just natural to me. It's just, we're in Mexico. The altitude's good. I come down to sea level and I feel great. A lot of people can't match my pace, and it showed. He came out, did really good. I feel like he just exploded off the line, and that guy, before he knew, the doors were blown off, and we're in the second round and he's rolling around on the floor. That's nothing on the opponent. It's just that guy went to the body, and that was all she wrote, a la Ryan Garcia, which we'll allude to later. But it's just some of these guys, they know what to do. They know how to inflict damage. They are professionals. So super impressed. He went out there, handled business, and I can't say enough of that guy. He's a pro. He stayed at the hotel, signed everything anybody gave him. There's the cap signed. He signed it. He took photos with everybody. Me and Tommy got posters. So, man, that guy made me a fan. And another thing was there's, Shakur and all these guys say, well, nobody wants me. There's also the business side of boxing where certain things have to match up. So I don't think the impression I got from Zepeda last night was he's not ducking no smoke. With Jimmy Blue had some great interviews with Frank Martin, who shouted him out just as a respect. They know what's what. I just think the business has to be right. So Last night, Zepeda made a huge fan out of me. I can't say enough. Win, lose, or draw, he's just a champion inside and outside the ring, and that's what I like to see in a lot of boxers.
Yeah, definitely. And going back to the fight only itself, as I was watching the fight, he handled business as usual, as he should. Especially if you're gonna, especially if you're gonna take Vergil Ortiz's original spot. If you're gonna do that, you better give the fans something to see, and he did that with extraordinary fashion with that second round knockout. In the first round, I noticed that he was you could sense that he was really targeting that body. He was really setting it up with that southpaw stance. He hit him with some straight lefts up top, but you could tell he was really trying to end it early with the body shot, and it actually manifested over as we saw in the second round. Amazing, 3 in a row, 3 knockdowns back to back. That third one, the ref said, nope, that's it, he's out. Jimmy Blue, take us back with your recollections of that fight as well.
Well, yeah, absolutely, man. I think you guys said it best. William Zepeda, man, and Camarón. A lot of people, if you're really true diehard boxing fans, you know who this guy is. I mean, this guy's been making a lot of noise in the 135 pound division. He's already, I would say, a contender. At least in the top 10, in my opinion. And it wasn't until he had his coming out party, which was July of last year, when he put a pretty bad beating on Hector Tanahara. And, Golden Boy somewhat struck gold with him, because at the time he wasn't signed with Golden Boy. But that's what, with a lot of fighters, man, especially from Mexico, yes, they may not have the record as far as, any legitimate opponents. They may have their record kind of padded a little bit. But you got to also keep in mind that a lot of fighters from Mexico, they don't have the necessary means or the monies to travel outside of Mexico, where they can kind of get a work visa, where they can go to the United States to work, or get a fight in Russia, or whatever the case may be. And, a lot of times Golden Boy looks for a diamond in the rough, so to speak, where if they see talent, they'll go ahead and sign them, and they'll take care of any visa issues or anything as such. Now, William Zepeda, man, this guy, as you guys mentioned and touched on it earlier, he broke the record for the amount of punches thrown in the fight, for the amount of jabs landed in the fight. The guy is an absolute volume puncher. He's an aggressor. He brings that Mexican style of fighting, and we have to understand something. In the lightweight division, it is probably the hottest division in all of boxing. From a pure talent level, think about some of the guys that are in the division, and I'm going to name simply the Southpaws: Frank Martin, William Zepeda, Lomachenko, Shakur Stevenson, Gervonta Tank Davis. I mean, I just named 5 out of the 10 that are Southpaws. Any of those styles brings fits to any of the main fighters. I mean, you got guys like Cambosos, Keyshawn Davis, Ryan Garcia, who's kind of fluctuating between 140, 135. There's a lot at stake, man. And I think Golden Boy did a good job of replacing Vergil Ortiz with William Zepeda. Now, I will tell you this. It did leave me wanting more. I'm not going to lie. I mean, the guy knocked him out in the second round. He did what he was supposed to do. And when I had an opportunity, I also interviewed Sergio Amora after the telecast. I asked him, I'm like, what does a fighter learn from that? I mean, when you're in the ring, what do you take away from an early knockout like that, where you go unblemished, you go untouched? What do you take away? He's like, you know what? You don't, as a fighter, you don't learn anything from those type of fights. However, as a spectator and as media, what we learn is whenever you put up against a guy that you're supposed to beat, you don't have any troubles getting them out of there. We've seen time and time again where there's fighters that, we put them against, an Uber driver or whatever the case is. They struggle for the first 4 or 5 rounds until they get them out of there. And then people in the media kind of criticize, oh, he didn't look good, he didn't look this. My only hope for William Zepeda, obviously, he is a volume puncher. His offense is his defense. My only hope for him is that Golden Boy doesn't take the approach that they've taken with Jaime Munguia, with like a Ryan Garcia, where they're just kind of giving them easy touches and things as such. So when it comes time to perform against the upper echelons and like Azurdo Ramirez, I mean, it's I want him to be able to perform because he is a great guy. We had an opportunity to hang out with him yesterday and the day prior. And this guy's very humble. You want to root for him. He had a lot of fans out in the building, and his style is fan friendly. So again, my only hope is, and I asked him this during the post-fight press conference, how far does he feel he's away? Because Pitbull Cruz got his opportunity against Gervonta Davis. Nobody knew who Pitbull was, but Pitbull took advantage of his opportunity, put up a great fight for all of the fight fans, where even in a loss, he actually won. He won more fans, and this guy started creating a little bit of a buzz and a little bit of a following based off his performance. I think William Zepeda's in that same category. He needs an opportunity. I'm not saying against a Shakur Stevenson or anything like that, but perhaps a Cambosos, perhaps a fellow countryman in Isaac Cruz. I mean, he needs to, this next fighter too, man. It's either put up or shut up, man. This is a hurt business for a reason. But that's what I got to say. Great atmosphere, great out of boxing here in Arlington, and I'm eager to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, great input, Jimmy Blue. Yeah, it's going to be interesting how far Golden Boy can take Zepeda, how far they can take him from this point forward. Corny Tanner, give us a take on the fight, and also if you can speak on how you see Zepeda's trajectory going forward with Golden Boy.
I mean, on the actual main card, Zepeda Arboleda, like there's not much to speak on because there's not much that went on. Aside from William Zepeda handling business and putting dude on the deck. Very and it was like Jimmy Blue was saying, it's like it's really hard to gauge off a performance like that. But in situations like that, what I'll do is I'll look at the opponents or the victim in this case. I'll look at their past few fights and engage from there. And Jaime Arboleda is a very serviceable, very durable dude. He took that L to Chris Colbert. And that's kind of hard to gauge from that because we kind of saw where Chris Colbert has kind of fizzled out from there. But that was one of Chris Colbert's more impressive wins. So I'll say he wasn't up against the Uber driver. He was up in there against a guy who had been at this level before and was really fighting for redemption and fighting, trying to fight his way back to that title spotlight. And William Zepeda, basically didn't allow it to happen. And that's boxing. A big part of it is earning your respect by taking it from the guy who's in there with you, and he did just that. And he epitomized that. A fight I do want to reference on the undercard of the card though was Victor Morales' destruction of Oscar's little cousin, like damn.
Yeah.
That's Oscar Diego De La Hoya. He's kind of been up down. He's been in and out. We haven't seen much of him the past couple years or whatever. But the last Golden Boy card that I saw him on, he got done the same way, more or less. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, damn, bro. Like, I know he was highly touted coming out of the amateurs, but it's like, damn, have you gotten any? I mean, are you deserving of any of this shine by virtue of not anything other than your last name? But Victor Morales, very impressive. That is one to watch in the featherweight division, 120, 126. That kid is going to be a problem. But going back to the second half of your question regarding William Zepeda, where his trajectory is, it's obviously up. He's obviously up right now. And it's just going to be all about where they match him. It'd be one of those things where, because of where 135 is sitting right now and who's got next and who's got dibs on Haney, a title shot realistically is going to be a ways away. So it's going to be all about, Golden Boy continuing to put him in with high caliber opponents, as many as they can. De La Hoya and Golden Boy as a whole right now, they're kind of in a tenuous situation where I know a lot of the narrative is like, man, De La Hoya, he puts his guys in real tough, or, you know what I'm saying, he shoves his guys in the deep end pretty early. It's out of necessity. You know, the talent pool from Golden Boy, even though there's still an immense level of talent, fighters that they have in that stable, they're very much depleted from where they were about 5-10 years ago. You know, I've been in the social media stratosphere for a while, so y'all might remember me in the group before Top Rank just went to another level as far as signing prospects, signing Olympians, and getting the TV deal with ESPN. I would continually say that Golden Boy, if anything, always had the deepest level of young prospect talent out there. That's obviously changed with Top Rank kicking it to another gear or whatever. But as you know, as we see these talented guys that De La Hoya is bringing forth and bringing to the fold with the DAZN contract, we're gonna see some good matchups because he's got no choice but to put blue chipper against blue chipper. There's not gonna be a lot of coddling to these guys. There's not gonna be a lot of soft touches. There's not gonna be a lot of development deals. It's pretty much if you're signing to Golden Boy right now, it's, you know what I'm saying, you're basically getting signed on the virtue of, you know, the matchmakers and Oscar think you're ready to go right now. And that's, you know what I'm saying, that from a business aspect, that might be kind of tenuous and scary if you're in the boardroom at Golden Boy. But if you're a boxing fan and, you know, you're tuning into these DAZN Golden Boy cards, hey, it's high times. So, you know what I'm saying, I'm happy to see it. My proverbial wet dream fight that I would want to see right now that's clicked for me after last night's carnage, William Zepeda and Isaac Cruz, Pitbull. Like, I really want to see those two.
Oh, hell yeah.
And the thing is, it's really not an unrealistic matchup because, you know, even though Isaac Cruz is aligned with Al Heyman and that he's been on more Showtime cards, his promoter, he's still signed with Zanfer Promotions, who William Zepeda came in to that first Golden Boy card against Tanahara. He was also signed with Zanfer. I think he still might be signed with Zanfer on a co-promotional deal with Golden Boy, but that's, you know what I'm saying, that's a fight that could happen. I don't know how deeply Isaac Cruz is sold to Heyman, or, you know, how many if he's worked out a separate deal with Showtime where he's got to fight at X amount of fights on the network or whatnot. But I mean, if that can be maneuvered and he can get around that, that's the fight that needs to happen. And that's one as we as boxing fans deserve, and that's one of those fights you tune in and you can say on the night, you know, screw whatever's on as far as UFC, NBA playoffs, college basketball, anything else that's going on. You can say that's one of those fights where you tune in and you say, you know what, boxing won tonight. So that's my take on it, and I'm eager to hear everybody else's.
Great stuff, Corny. You know, I'm reading this comment also from Julian Givens. You know, I'm gonna read it out loud. I think they continue to match Zepeda carefully after what happened to Ryan. You know, and you know, that also got me thinking. I was thinking before we started this episode. I think Oscar. I think in my view, he's viewing Zepeda as another card in the deck, especially after what happened to Ryan Garcia. So there's definitely some credence to Julian Gibbons' point. You know, Tiffany Daniels, let me go to you. What do you think about that comment? And also, as well, what you think about the last night's performance, and how do you see his trajectory going forward in William Zepeda and Golden Boy?
Well, I wasn't able to watch the fight. I just caught the highlights, and that's practically all it was, because
not much.
On the highlights, the fight was pretty much over. I'm like, holy shit! So he was relentless. Like, just from the highlights that I seen, I was like maybe 60 seconds, part of the first round, and then the second round when he took him out. I was very impressed with William Zepeda, and all I gotta say is, like, at 135, man, that's the division right now. It's a tough division. We got some heavy hitters in that division. It's basically holding up all of boxing right now. Like, all eyes are on 135 right now. That's the place to be. And it was just tough. And I can tell you, last week when Oscar De La Hoya was talking about he was, you know, going to get killed and had death threats and all this stuff. And that's why he couldn't be at the press conference. In the same breath, he's like, hey, by the way, William Zepeda's fighting on Saturday. Be there. So you kind of knew like something, this guy got to, he has to have the goods. If Oscar's like, forget Ryan Garcia, we moving on. It's William Zepeda's time. And initially, Zepeda was supposed to be on that undercard. So I'm not sure. I almost feel like they should have just let Zepeda fight on the Tank Davis undercard because we had so many viewers for that fight. That would have been fantastic for him to get that viewership. Now I know it's like, all right, do I take a main event card or do I go on this thing here? So either way, I agree with everybody else, what everybody else said, and especially with Courtney. Isaac Cruz will be a terrific fight for him, but man, 135, it's a tough division. And like I think Jimmy said, we got like 5 southpaws alone in that division. That is crazy. You don't really see that too much. But I'm excited. I'm excited for all the potential matchups, all the potential fights. Hopefully they won't like treat us like redheaded stepchildren for the next 2 years and not make these fights happen. Hopefully we get what we want to see. So that's my take on it.
And I gotta make a revision to one of my statements in there. Jimmy Blue slid in my DMs and put me up on game that Isaac Cruz is actually signed to Manny Pacquiao's promotional entity. So that pretty much might dead any prospect of Isaac Cruz and William Zepeda. As many people know, Manny Pacquiao is pretty much exclusively doing business with Showtime right now. So that's another casualty of the boxing politics and the your side of the street, my side of the street BS that's going on right now.
Excellent point, Tiffany. By the way, I want to give you a shout out. With they should have had William on that Gervonta Davis undercard. I mean, they really should have.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Great stuff, Tiffany. Let's go to you, Tommy Rush Jr. Also, hey, Tommy, I know you were chopping up with Frank Martin. Was he canvas? Was he, scoping out? I presume he was. He was scoping out Zepeda. Like, was that something you were talking? Was that a topic of conversation with him? Speak on that if possible, and also your thoughts on Zepeda's short 2-round knockout performance last night. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah. So we were there with Frank Martin. Jimmy Blue was asking him a lot of questions. And then just after, kind of some of those interview questions, we were just, standing around talking to him as the event was closing out, all of the security and everybody was trying to kick us out and we were still out there chilling, and they was like, hey, we closed. And we were still chopping it up, talking with him. But, yeah, I definitely think he was out there, checking him out and seeing what's popping with him. He pulled up. He was wanting to get on some what up gangsta because he came in there, ready. Like he flat out said it. He's like, I'm not ducking anything. I want everybody smoke. Like I'm not playing around. Like this is the hurt business. I'm here to fight. And if I tell you I want to fight, sign the contracts. Like I don't want to go through none of this, BS back and forth. Let's get it on wax and let's go. Like I'm ready to fight any and everybody. And I think I can speak for Jimmy and ringside. We felt the genuine intent and bad intentions in what he was saying. Like he's dead ass serious. He don't care who it is, and I honestly think that that's a good thing. I'll get to that piece after kind of just speaking about my thoughts on the fight, which will be short, but it was destruction, man. He came in there with a solid game plan, and as Steven said, the night before, he was just calm as ever. He was cold as ice, like and he showed to still be that way when he got in that ring, and that thunder started erupting on their body, and I mean, damn, like you could see it, you could hear it, the pop in his punches that were landing with those body shots. You can hear that stuff several rows back, from ringside. Like it was nasty. And, when Arboleda got knocked down the first time, we see a lot of people, when you knock a fighter down, they pounce on them, right? Because they want to just get them right out of there. It was like it was like Zepeda was being, just methodical. Like he was still calm. It was like he knew he had him wounded, and he just cruised right over to him, tore him up a couple more times, dropped him again, like, and you could see he was just wincing on the ground, like just almost in a ball, and it was like got back up, still didn't pounce on him. He was like, all right. It was like he was just playing with him, just playing with his food, man. And so he did what he needed to do. What I think as far as like a future for him, I would love to see him sign and fight Frank Martin. If because here's the thing, just like we're talking about 135, it's the pick of the litter right now. We have experienced, veterans. We've got, people that shot up to stardom pretty quickly. We have, basically like fresh off being kind of like prospects to now challengers for title. Like it's so deep that, as what we're all talking about, the boxing politics and the things that could happen, there's going to be some people that got to fight people. Like we got to get fights out of this division. So I feel that, somebody like Frank Martin, if he's really not ducking no smoke and don't care that, like, hey, I'm trying to get there, but I feel like I'm there and I don't give a damn who it is, put me in the ring with him. I feel like that's a guy that would be willing, to not get coddled, and would push for something like that, to take a fight like a Zepeda. I think that, as we've kind of said and talked about before, before the show and a little bit during, but like a Kambosos, like somebody where Zepeda's looking to position himself, and kind of to Julian's, comment about, them trying to be a little bit careful. I think that Kambosos is one of those guys that's hot, that high up, in the rankings, that he's not going to the top dogs. He's going to, a guy that, respect to him, he was able to beat, Teofimo and win the title, but he's kind of looked off, ever since then. So that it kind of gives him that big name to put him above like a Kambosos and just etch him a little bit closer, without it being, take the big risk and go and really try to score against one of the top 3 or 4 in the division. So I think that, man, like it's gonna be a damn great division to watch for a while. We know we may see a few of them move up, after, maybe in the next couple of fights or so. So it might lose a little bit of steam, but the wave is still going to carry over. So it'll be, 135 and up. We're gonna be having some exciting fights that are going to come out of this.
Yeah, I'm gonna put y'all on the spot though. You know what I'm saying? Because I know we have great relationships with and we've plugged in with a lot of fighters, a lot of current champions, former champions, a lot of up and coming prospects. So some of y'all might be hesitant to really speak your mind on it, because you sat down and talked to both parties. But me, I'm messy. So I'm gonna just ask the question: do any of y'all realistically see Frank Martin beating William Zepeda?
Well, I think what's intriguing about that fight is that it's a 50-50 fight, bro. Honestly, when I see Frank Martin, I see him as a tactician, man. He's getting a lot better with Coach Derek James. I mean, he showed it in his last performance, but we also got to remember that he's only 17 fights deep into his pro career. So, a guy like Zepeda, who has 28 fights, damn near almost getting close to 30 fights, he's kind of on that same trajectory as Munguia, going 40-0 before they really, step up on his opposition. I think that, when it's two southpaws, it can be a little bit tricky, man. Who do you favor? Do you favor the boxer? Do you favor the aggressor? Or do you favor the body snatcher? I mean, the guy who's more of a ring general inside the ring. Because even though I like William Zepeda's style, I think that he can cause a lot of problems for a lot of different fighters. I don't necessarily think he has a really good defense. And in my opinion, he is, I would say, probably the slower of all of the 135-pound contenders. He doesn't seem to have the speed, in my opinion. But that's okay, because even though he may not have the speed, at the end of the day, he is still throwing over 1,000, 12, 14, 1,500 punches in a fight, if it makes it that long. So, you have to kind of pick your poison, man. And it's very tough to call. Do I see them fighting here in the near future? I don't. I think I would see Frank Martin fighting a Keyshawn Davis before he fights, a William Zepeda. I think Golden Boy has bigger plans for William Zepeda in hopes that they don't. I don't want to say necessarily cash in on him, but I would say to make it a much like a bigger fight on a bigger stage where he can gain more and more publicity. And kind of going back to Tiffany's point, if Golden Boy would have took the opportunity of showcasing William Zepeda on the Gervonta Davis undercard, where if William Zepeda would have won, he could have got in there and, called out the winner of the two, even though we know that fight wouldn't have happened. He would at least talk that shit to get people to be like, oh, okay, well, who's this guy? Who's this guy calling him out? Oh, he's from Mexico. Oh man, this guy, broke all records and this, that, and the third. They would have done a better job of hyping him up. Golden Boy went a different route, and with promotional companies as well as networks, man, it gets tricky because when you have a commitment that you have a specific date, you have to deliver to that network. And if Golden Boy doesn't have the fighters to deliver at this time, they have to kind of, sacrifice their lamb, so to speak, to say, damn, this would have been a good opportunity. Let's pull them. Let's just make them they were supposed to have Marlena Esparza on the card. She fell out for, whatever reason. Golden Boy did what they had to do to stay committed to that DAZN date. So it's a tough question, man. It's a good question.
Does anybody else want to crack at it?
I think, like to a little bit of Blue's point, you're not going to know on some of these when he says 50-50. It's because it's like, well, what style takes precedence? But what I commend Frank Martin to do, and like Tommy and Jimmy Blue said, I got the feel that guy pulled up not because he's looking to just blow smoke. He sat there and talked with Jimmy Blue and us and was saying, I'm here. I came to Zepeda respectfully like a businessman. Is like, we can get this signed. Zepeda, after the fight, said, hey, he talked to me, very professional. I like him as a fighter. So these guys are complimenting each other's gangster, so to speak, and understanding that they're both killers. Jimmy Blue's making me sick over here. I'm getting motion sickness. But these guys are both killers. So I respect Frank Martin. So win, lose, or draw for Zepeda or Martin, these guys, as deep as that division is, you're going to fall out the boat and you're going to hit somebody good regardless, because it's 10 deep. 1 versus 10, 10 versus 2, 8 versus 5. It don't matter. Those are going to be solid matchups that people are going to tune in to watch. So if it's like, you mentioned Pitbull Cruz a lot. If he fights any of these top 10 guys, it's a fight that fight fans want to see. If Frank Martin pulls up and, fights anybody in that division, we're going to want to see it. So I don't care which way you mismatch it. What's more impressive to me is who signs up for the work, because a lot of these guys are all top 10. But if you're not doing anything within that, then it really doesn't, I don't care to see it or care to hear what you have to say. But if Frank Martin, who lives in Dallas, is that what he said? I believe he lives here in Dallas. Last night, he showed up. If you're looking for work, come to the tree out. You know what I mean? We'll sign you up. We'll get you working. Like they said in what was that football movie with Adam Sandler and Chris Rock? I forget the name, but he's just come to the tree out. Like, we'll get you signed up. Yeah, there you go. Longest yard. He showed up. He didn't duck nothing. He didn't come in wild, disrespectful. He came in. I have skills. I can put these skills towards you, and we can get a fight. I respect you. Zepeda said he respects him. They just recognize they're both dangerous, and they can do that. So whenever one of these fights gets signed up, I'll know when, who's checking their mail to sign the contract, and then I'll know who's, bills are kind of collecting in the mailbox. So that's my take on it. So I respect both of them, and win, lose, or draw, I'm a fan of both because both are willing to get in the ring.
All
you
right.
got mail.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just telling Reese, you got mail.
Hey, you even sounded legit badass like it.
But I got a follow-up question because you guys were obviously a little closer to the to the action and to the person in question than I was from watching on TV or whatever. But like it struck me, William Zepeda looks pretty big for the lightweight division. Am I tripping or
Yeah, I noticed that too. Corny. But yeah, go
I
ahead.
would say he looked a little taller than Martin did. Would y'all say that? I mean, it's not like just like huge difference, but he did look pretty. He's a little bit taller and got some length where Martin is
more compact.
Built. That dude is built for tough. Like he is in shape now to where if he fought in 2 or 3 weeks, I could see it. So that's another thing that I saw, and when talking with Frank Martin, that this guy's walking, talking, living that Spartan lifestyle. So when he shows up and says, I'm ready for war, he's ready for war. So that's something that I respected out of him, just giving him a quick eye test. Like, this dude looks like he is a fighter to the T. He walks it, he talks it, he breathes it.
Tommy looked as big as Martin did. Y'all was like the same person. I was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
I got my money on Tommy. Nah, look.
But
sign the papers. I want that smoke.
Check this out. I think that to me, the biggest 135-pounder, in my opinion, is Devin Haney. I think he's just way bigger than everybody. I mean, when you look at him walking around, I mean, you think he's like when he's against next to Floyd or when he's next to like Earl and these guys, he looks like a full-fledged welterweight, man. And then we've seen in his last fight where he's sucking down to barely make weight. The guy looks like a skeleton. And with Zepeda, what I respect about at least both of these fighters from last night, both of them came well under 135. They came in 134.1, 134.2, and those guys were in tremendous shape. They didn't look sucked in. They didn't look dry. They didn't look like they have any cotton mouth. Yes, I think Zepeda is a pretty big, big fighter for his division, which makes, like you said, makes things interesting because you got a guy like Frank Martin. He's more shorter, more compactor, very similar to like George Kambosos, very similar to even Teofimo Lopez when he was fighting at 135. Those guys were a little bit shorter at 5'6", 5'7". Gervonta's walking around 5'5". I mean, those guys are small, man, but they pack a huge punch. So, it's interesting for sure. Isaac Cruz, 5'4".
How tall is Isaac Cruz? He's got to be like 5'2". He is tiny.
He's about 5'3", 5'4".
That's right.
But the reason I asked that question specifically about William Zepeda is you got to look at it too. Is like if we're looking at 135. We can easily name off 10, we can easily name off our top 10 or, or 10 fighters you like at 135. Easily. When there's that, and I think history shows us, and when history coupled with the current climate as far as promotions, as far as networks, as far as the boxing politics, I think the storm that's shaping up is we're going to see dudes bolt 5 pounds north to 140 before we see all these dream matchups play out. If somebody wants to chime in, Devin Haney has already flirted with, 140. Ryan Garcia has already made the announcement after his loss that he's going to 140. And Teofimo Lopez has already gone to 140. Who do you guys think is next to go up the scales before it really gets cracking?
What I think is that's a great question, bro. Courtney, what I think is that obviously I don't think Devin Haney. I think Devin Haney fights one more time at 135, whether lose, win, or draw against Lomachenko. I think if he wins, he's going to vacate his titles. I think Lomachenko would go down to 130. I think that which leaves it open season for all the 4 belts. At this point, Shakur Stevenson would be number 1 for the WBC, so he would be sticking around at 135. Then you got guys like Zepeda, guys like, eventually Kambosos, maybe trying to reattempt to fight for a title. You got guys like Isaac Cruz that even though he said in the past, I'm willing to move up to 140 to fight Regis Progress if the money is right. I think that's suicide. Bro, it'd be a hell of a war. Don't get me, however long it lasts. But
Because the reality about Isaac Cruz is that's really a featherweight who just happens to have a high motor and has got some pop. You know what I'm saying? But really, and the thing is, the paychecks are a little higher at 135 than they are at 126. But you know what I'm saying? Isaac Cruz, that's the reality of it. He really is a featherweight.
So to answer your question, I think the one that's as closest to moving up to 140 out of all the fighters, you know, I think it's gonna be Devin Haney, man. To be quite honest with you, I think he has more. You know, depending upon how this Teofimo, Josh Taylor, you know, all the belts are basically vacant at 140. Everybody's fighting for vacancies. There's some, you know, there's Rowley who's fighting for a belt that should be able to win that. I mean, there's opportunity to snatch titles, which these guys are not afraid to do. So I think it's Haney. I think
the thing about Haney though is, I think with Haney, I think he recognizes the earning potential at 135 right now because that's the glamour division. I think first off, I think people drawing the foregone conclusion that he's going to beat up Lomachenko is, I think people are, you know, I think people are leaning. I wouldn't say they're reaching, but I'd say they're leaning with that. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't think that's a guaranteed result by any means. But if Devin Haney, you know what I'm saying, he deals with the Lomachenko challenge, I think there's one more fight he would stick around for at 135, and that's Shakur Stevenson. You know what I'm saying? I think if he beats Lomachenko and Shakur Stevenson is willing and available and the money is right, I think he stays at 135. I think that would be that one fight he sticks around for after Lomachenko.
I respectfully disagree because I feel that he will stick around for Gervonta. I think he would want Gervonta Davis next because there's more money in that fight, and there may be a catch weight there because honestly, I just don't see how Devin can keep sucking down at 135. To be quite honest, so it's going to be difficult on his body, yes, and depending upon how this outcome comes with Lomachenko, I don't think he wants any of Shakur Stevenson. To be quite honest.
If Haney is still aligned with Top Rank, that Tank fight, that's not on the table. The thing is, and the people are saying, well, you know what I'm saying, Ryan Garcia and Tank did business. The thing though is that's not as inconceivable as Top Rank doing business with, you know, Al Haymon, because simply for the fact is that Oscar De La Hoya used to be in effect Al Haymon's in-house promoter. You know, that used to be his pay. That was his puppet, you know. So the thing is, even though they're not really aligned, is De La Hoya and Al Haymon, they have done business on some level in the past, and they have a working relationship. Those fights between Top Rank and Al Haymon, those are pretty much no-go areas because I mean it's very that is an extreme anomaly that it happens. And people say, well, what about Wilder and Fury? That was because there was nothing on the table left for either of those dudes to eat. Especially with Anthony Joshua in a holding pattern the way he was. That was a fight of necessity. But I think the likelihood of Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson, just by virtue of, you know, the it being easier to make from a business standpoint, that happens way sooner and way easier than Tank and Devin Haney would.
I think that for that reason, Courtney, that's why a lot of us feel like he's not going to stay at that division, you know, because I think that if he would, you know, sign up to get some of Shakur, it's going to be a division higher where he's much more comfortable at that weight, you know, and have Shakur come up, you know, to that weight. So I think that is, you know, if we can't see him getting that like a big fight with Tank, I don't see him really, you know, pushing himself to make that weight to take that risk against any of these other guys. You know, I think that he would just go ahead, move up, get comfortable, go after the belts there, already be able to come in and get into some nice fights at that division, and that's what I think that's what we get out of Haney.
But I get that. I respect that because what you're saying is it's kind of a high risk, low reward aspect of it. But essentially, he's there right now with Lomachenko.
Well, see, the issue, or what I'd like to add to Courtney's point and to Tommy's point is, you guys got to keep in mind is Devin Haney himself, in his own words, had said recently a few weeks back, regardless of whatever the outcome is with him and Lomachenko, this is his last fight with Top Rank. He's going to be a promotional free agent, meaning that every fight that he's going to do is going to be under Haney Promotions. So he's going to hear or entertain offers from an Eddie Hearn, PBC, Top Rank, and me and a friend of mine.
How that's working out for him.
Exactly, but look, the thing is that, like, you know, I had this conversation. Shout outs to Jose Rene and my boy Julian. You know, I had the conversation where it was like Devin Haney is in a very crazy position because he was one of the first fighters to go over when DAZN kind of, you know, developed, and they were overpaying him millions of dollars for him to fight nobody. And it wasn't until he realized that, you know what, yes, I am making $3-4 million just to fight, you know, Joe Blow. But if I want to, you know, chase legacy and win titles, I have to fight somebody, you know, that's with Top Rank. And Top Rank over the last 5 to 7 years, what have we known that they've done in the past? Well, they have been known to basically buy out the divisions. I mean, at 126, at one point, they had all the belts. 130, they had all the belts. 135, they have all the belts with Devin Haney and Lomachenko, two in-house fighters. And even at 140, they had all the belts with Josh Taylor. Now those belts got divided, and, you know, they're trying to find a way to bring all those belts back in-house. But nevertheless, you know, if you're Devin Haney, you're going to be in a tough spot because, you know, if you're trying to fight for money, I don't necessarily see him making more than what it is that he's making because he's never fought on pay-per-view. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, how can you tell how much you're worth? Even if you have the belts, like, you're only worth how much somebody's going to be willing to pay you. And if Gervonta Davis is the cash cow and he's not even in a position where he wants to fight for titles, he just wants to fight for money. I mean, how much of a negotiate, like a chip or a bargaining chip, do you really bring if a lot of these high class fighters, they don't care about the belts? They want to fight for money. And I don't foresee Haney moving the needle, especially if it's a fight between Haney and Shakur. I honestly don't see it selling more than 150. So it's tough.
But hey, wouldn't it be some scary shit though? Gervonta Tank Davis with his current star power and undisputed, that blows the lid off it.
Oh, absolutely. He'd be a superstar.
Yeah. Yeah,
What's
good
your
stuff.
take, Reese?
What's up? Oh, go ahead, Steven. Did you have something to add?
No, so out of Jimmy Blue's rant there, like what I took from it, I don't know why Courtney's laughing. He's worse than Jimmy Blue. But what I took from it is
every
that
time somebody speaks that's not you, it's a fucking rant. Shut up, bro.
We're at 53 minutes live here, and Courtney was 48 minutes of them. So what I'm saying is at 135, we're going to find out when Jimmy Blue said it, who's fighting for legacy and who's fighting for money. And when I saw Frank Martin pull up and we talked about Zepeda tonight, those are guys that it seem like they're fighting for legacy. Tank Davis, respect to him. He had that million pay-per-view. Ryan, respect to them. They got money. But that's what they got. They got money because there was no belt on the line in that fight. So then you start to weed it out. I'm just reading between the lines, and I'm saying, okay, Tank and Ryan fought for money. Frank Martin's here to sign up for Zepeda, the strap that he had last night. There might not be that much money obviously involved, but he's looking for legacy. So then at 135, the respect that I'm going to give my hat to people is who's fighting for legacy and who's fighting for money. I'll never hate on anybody for getting their bag, and if we're talking boxing and we're going to talk people down the line, when we open the history books, who was there? You know what I mean? We can talk and we'll see, you know, oh, well, Frank Martin fought Zepeda in a great fight and they fought for X belts. Okay, Ryan Garcia and Tank, they fought and it was a great fight, but there was no belt there. There was a catchweight and they made great money, but there was no belt. So that's what I would say I respect, and that's everybody's different, and that's okay. So we can all respectfully disagree, but that's the beauty of boxing is you kind of you bet on certain horses, certain blue chips, like Courtney said. These are all blue chip guys that can't really make bad moves, but who's making moves for legacy and who's making moves for money? And we'll find out pretty soon.
Well, see, that's what the position that I guess the point that I'm trying to make, Reese, is that, you know, when you get into a slippery slope when you start talking about money, fighting for titles, because you're going to be in a similar situation than what Crawford was when he's making $4.5 million, $5 million, and Top Rank doesn't have the money to continuously keep paying this guy for him not to be able to generate that in return. So when you have Devin Haney, who's been making $3 to $4 million, even with his DAZN deal and now with his Top Rank deal, and I think it was you that said it, that he's made over already $10 million fighting the 2 fights with George Kambosos overseas. There's no going backwards, especially when you're in the undisputed. There's no going backwards and making less money to fight a lot stronger fighters in the Tank Davis or Shakur Stevenson or any of those guys. They're going to want more, if not roughly around the same amount that they're making. But for how long is a promoter going to be willing to pay them? Look at Shakur Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson has been making $3.25 million, and it's like, damn, he's already clearing over $3.5 million. Like, I ain't gonna say he hasn't fought anybody. He did fight Oscar Valdez, but even with the Japanese guy, he's bringing in over $3 million. Those guys don't want to go backwards. They're gonna want that as their minimum. But these guys have never fought pay-per-view, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
No, I agree with you, but then you got to look at, to Crawford's credit, he was making that money, but he's also been undisputed. So yes, you can say, oh, okay, how can you keep doing that? But still, Crawford's collecting titles at the same point. Then you got to look into age, where you say Shakur, you mentioned Shakur. Well, Shakur's age is, you know, on the lower end compared to Crawford's. So then there's different aspects. But, you know, for Crawford, he was making his money, and rightfully so, but he's also collecting titles. So it's hard to argue that. And then Shakur, as young as they are, these guys can still get the belts. So their legacy is still growing. Crawford's is pretty cemented, you know, undisputed. It's hard to compare apples to oranges, only because of the age. That's the only reason I say is the age. That's why.
Forget those belts and those high-ass sanctioning fees. Get your money. Get the money.
Yeah.
Or we could just go back to one belt, yo.
I would want to hear how, you know, like, because I would want to hear from Tiffany what she thinks about, like, you know, what do you think when it comes to legacy over money? And you just said, you know, get your money. But then at the end of the day, too, some people might argue, okay, you know, like I said, there's nothing wrong against Tank, but he got his biggest payday, I'm sure. But then there's no belt. You know, they don't bring that into you. So it's tough. You know, when you go down the history books, and Tank is now 29 years old. So 28?
Yeah.
Okay, so 2 years away from 30. And we, you know, Shakur is young. All these other guys are young guys. I think Zepeda's only like 26. So that's why I think that's what's kind of cool about that 135 division is you start figuring out age and what you're chasing. You're chasing legacy. Do I want to go back and down in the history books? Or do I need to get this money because, you know, I'm not going to be able to do this forever?
I'm kind of like, I'm more of a legacy type fighter too. However, you know, like, you got one belt, get the money, you know, but like people like Errol Spence, dude, you got 3 belts. You've been in the same division your entire career. I need you to get undisputed and then have at it. You know what I mean? That's the kind of legacy I want to see. But outside of that, I'm all for these boxers getting their money, because at the end of the day, boxing is a tough business. And you want to leave this business with your scruples and some money and not be out, you know, held out to dry. Look at Adrian Broner. I'm from Cincinnati. Have you seen what he's doing? I mean, like, this shit is ridiculous at this point.
Jimmy Blue, shout out to Jimmy Blue. He
It's
posted
been ridiculous.
In our boxing group, and I don't know if it was on All Access. He kind of shared Adrian Broner's rant where he says, you know, I'm sorry to Don King. I have, you know, certain addictions. But the only part that I don't get, I respect that he's being real with the fans and real with the people. But then you say you have gambling addiction, sex addiction, drinking problems. And then you say, but boxing people have slandered my name. But you just admitted to the slander.
Right. Nobody slandered you. You know, you did it to yourself at this point. And that's my boy. You know what I mean? It's time to get it together. Either put up or shut up. That's how I see it. You know, like, quit, you know, just do what you're supposed to do. He didn't even show up for his press conference. at this point, you know. So we have a lot of talented fighters out of Cincinnati, and the only thing people ever say is Adrian Broner, you know, outside of like Aaron Pryor and, you know, people from back in the day. But that's the main thing, and I want it to be better than that. Like, we have somebody on Top Rank, and to Jimmy Blues and your point, is Duke Reagan. He was an Olympian. You never hear anything about him. I never see anything when he has a fight. I never know unless he posts something, or I'm looking to find it to see when his next fight is. And he's getting, you know, like guaranteed paychecks. You know what I mean? So it's like you said, it might be like 700,000, or I don't know how much he's made. I'm not going to count his money, his pockets, or nothing like that. But, you know, these guys, like you said, are getting paid these guaranteed purses, and they're not really fighting anybody. So,
and
go ahead.
To Tiffany, to your point, and you know how you mentioned, you said, you know, I'm all about legacy fights, and I think we can all somewhat agree that that is, of course, where if we really want our sport to elevate, to be where it needs to be, and where we know where it can be, I think that's what we all want and we all are pushing for. But you also mentioned, you know, you're also about the fighters getting their money, and what my point was is that I think that we're in an era now where fighters are, yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to say this, but I feel that they're getting overpaid based on the return. You see what I'm saying? So we're getting in situations where we can't get certain fights to happen because this guy wants this amount, this other guy wants that amount, and financially speaking, it's not foreseeable for certain fights to happen. And I don't want to say that we're in that stage at 135. But we are in a certain situation where we do have a complete A side at 135, which in this case is Gervonta Davis, where he's going to demand what he demands. He's going to ask for what it is he's going to want as far as from a monetary standpoint. And then you have the conflict, as Courtney said, of promoters. You know what I mean? The conflict of interest of working with this promoter or that promoter. And then you have the conflict of, well, this guy's never fought pay-per-view. So how can I guarantee him $3 million if he's made $4 million his last fight? I'm not in the business of losing money, and that's where I think it kind of sucks, man. We're in a very tough spot. I don't know if there's financial advisors involved or accountants. I really wish there were, but I want to really, to me, like if I'm putting up millions, I got to be able to see my money back in return, regardless of whatever it is I'm paying you as a fighter. And I think fighters feel that they're worth more than what the what it's really reflected out in the open market. Just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, with us having the whole discussion with money versus legacy, it's kind of a damn shame. And like, I want to shout out Guy Purcell from the Pound for Pound group. I'm always dismissing him and brushing him off as an old fogey or whatever.
He been on this. Yeah.
But the thing is, there be truth. There be truth in the shade he be throwing, because you know what I'm saying? And that's why boxing for the longest time was just bleeding fans. Because people from that era, you know what I'm saying, Guy Purcell, people from that area, people like my pops who refuses to watch the sport anymore, raised me on the sport, but now refuses to have any part of this, anything to do with it, because we're in an era where money and legacy, they're no longer mutually beneficial. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, from the golden age of the 70s up until the early 2000s, you know what I'm saying, those things were one and the same, but it got separated. And the thing is, it's been a blessing and it's been a needed change in the sport to where, because if you look at some of the old timers and what these dudes were making back in the day to fight these mega fights, they were getting robbed and it was criminal. You know what I'm saying? And then especially seeing the result of them and seeing how some of those guys are living today, walking around with barely 1 or 2 marbles, upstairs and whatnot, and are broke. They're destitute. They have nothing to show for it. So in that aspect, where Jimmy Blue said it very delicately, or, wanted to broach it very delicately about guys being overpaid, I think that's natural, because it's like, yeah, these guys are literally risking their lives to entertain the public. They should get paid commissary to that. But it goes to the other end. What Jimmy Blue is saying is that there needs to be a return on investment, and it goes back to us. It goes back to people like us, because I said it time and time again on the show, and I'm going to bite off Max Kellerman, to where in 2023, to be a boxing fan is to be poor and poor and poor every month. If you look at your cable bill, you know what I'm saying? If you look at having to get the Fire Stick jailbroken and reprogrammed, airfare or going to fights or whatever, it's an expensive sport. You know what I'm saying? So, and the thing is, yes, that's going into the fighters' pockets, but as fans, collectively, it's to be fed up because we are investing so much in this sport only to see these guys fight mandatories who have no business being mandatories, Uber drivers, or dudes who are past their prime. And I think the glimmer of hope is what Tank and Ryan Garcia did for us last Saturday night, in that, they were two guys, big followings, two guys who could pack it in, two guys who were in their prime, two guys who were undefeated, and they got in with each other just because they could, and they knew that's where the money was at. And it paid out with 1.2 million pay-per-view buys, record gate numbers, and everybody wanting to see more, And it's like, this should be the natural result of that should be, all right, this is going to usher in an era where more fights like that get made. But the business of boxing is a mofo.
Hey, and meanwhile, we do all of this talk about the division, and we got Keyshawn Davis down there barking like Scrappy Doo at everybody, just trying to get a snip at somebody. It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Great stuff all around. Well, we've been talking about legacy versus getting the bag, and that naturally helps us transition into our last topic of the evening, which is the mega fight between Gervonta Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia, that April 22nd April 22nd DAZN Showtime pay-per-view fight. And legacy versus getting the bag. This fight itself is I think it's a warning shot for the future, because this fight made so much money, so much like moolah, but no belt behind it. And I think hopefully this sends a signal, hey, at a certain point, there has to be a positive correlation between prestige and pay. And hopefully we get to see that at some point in the future. But hopefully we can talk about that. But let's talk about the actual fight. My prediction before this fight, I saw Tank Davis winning in the latter rounds, in the latter half. I don't know what fashion, but as we all saw, Gervonta Tank Davis, he took him out in the 7th round with that body shot. Ryan Garcia, with the delayed reaction, took the knee, couldn't get up fully for the count. Let's go to you, Tommy. Give us your belated reaction to the fight. Go ahead, Tommy.
Man, so I'm gonna start by before the fight. I was on wax saying what I said in the previous episode about what I felt was going to happen, and that essentially did happen. But I'm just being transparent. I'm throwing it out there for a very brief moment. I was like, man, maybe Ryan can pull it off. It was like about a day and a half. I was like, people were asking me, and I said, I think Ryan can get him on points. I think he can keep him off of him. And then I woke up, and I said, no, man, I can't escape the bomb, and Ryan ain't either. And that's exactly what happened, man. And shout out to Jimmy Blue. We kicked it that night and watched the fight. And one of the very first things we saw and noticed, like, I don't know, what was it, like 10 to 20 seconds, from the fight starting, was Ryan he threw that shot and he dropped his hands. He threw a hook and he dropped his guard. And we were like, oh shit. Yeah, it was 5 seconds. Like, it was like one of the first couple punches he threw. He just clearly dropped that guard pretty much to his waist. And we was like, oh, damn, he's going to get caught. He's going to get caught. And look what happened in the second round. You know, he did that same thing 3 times in a row to Tank. Tank ducked it, caught him with a little shot, set him up again. He did it, ducked it, caught him with a little shot. He just set him up. He did it a 3rd time in a row, and Tank set his ass down. And you know, just like what Tank Davis said in the post fight, he was a level above him. He knew everything that he was going to do, and maybe a little bit of that because of the mold. But hey, you know, we know that his experience, you know, his style, you know, his ring IQ, like he was a level above him, and he just basically just set him up for exactly what he was going to do to him the whole entire fight. You know, I think it was about a round or 2 earlier than I thought, because I was saying, you know, 8 or 9th round TKO, but ended up being the 7th. But man, yeah, it was, Ryan just wasn't ready. He just wasn't ready, and he wasn't smart enough. You know, he didn't come into the fight disciplined enough. You know, there was all of the talk about, you know, Goosen basically saying, "Hey, I pretty much don't have to even, you know, train this guy because he's got his game plan." And like, your game plan didn't work, bro. Like, and your lack of skill in your defense and your punching, like it didn't work. And what little chance he had to keep him at bay, he wasn't utilizing, you know, his distance. He wasn't bringing enough, you know, enough pop. He wasn't timing well, and I mean, man, Tank knew exactly what he was doing. And I honestly, I felt it when he was walking to the ring, when he had Chief Keef coming out there playing Sosa. I was like, fuck, he's about to demolish this dude. Like, man, I'm just gonna have to get excited for what I'm about to see. I'm about to see a Tyson moment. Like, this is real. So like, those were my thoughts about the fight. Like, Tank, he fucking dominated, man, and in outstanding fashion, and in the right moment with a guy like Ryan Garcia that has 10 million plus followers on one social media platform, and a Hispanic community behind him. He ripped yet another page that we've seen him rip before. He ripped yet another page from the Floyd Mayweather playbook. And that's why Floyd was in there dancing around like he was, you know, praising at church or something. Like he was in there yucking it up because he was like, I know what's about to happen, and it showed. So wonderful game plan by Tank Davis.
Yeah, and even before the fight, in the pre-fight press conference, you know, Tank Davis, he analyzed Ryan Garcia accurately, and not verbatim, but he basically said, outside of the left hook, what does he have? What does Ryan Garcia have? And that's all he has. And, you know, Tank Davis was right. And for the fight itself, even up to that 7th round, it wasn't even the power that was the main theme of Gervonta Davis. It was everything else, which shift our view of him. It was his technique, his timing, his generalship, all of that, all those things that made him the real package. Like, hey, he's the real deal. He's not just this mini Mike Tyson. He's more than that. So yeah, great assessment, Tommy. Tiffany, let's go to you. Give us your thoughts on that show, on that DAZN Showtime pay-per-view event.
So I'll say a couple things. So from the beginning at the press conference, at the pre-fight press conference, Coach Calvin came out and said, hey, listen, we working on fundamentals, period. That's what we working on in our camp. We working on fundamentals. He knew for a fact that Ryan doesn't have the fundamentals, right? So he made it a point to bring that up. And you can see videos of Ryan all over social media with that right hand down. Like, it was just, he's just waiting to get beat up. Then when he came out with that soft ass song, like you talking about, he come out with Chief Keef, and he come out with, like, dude, is we at church? Really? What the hell? You couldn't pick nothing better than that. I wish he'd had like a mariachi band or something. Like, why did you come out with that? You know you about to lose, right? So that's number 2. Then Floyd Mayweather came in the ring. I'm like, oh God, it's like the Holy Trinity. He's going down. It's just a matter of when, like, because everybody kept saying Tank got kicked out of Floyd's gym, and then he's in the ring, and it's like, holy shit, it's over for you, right? So, like you said, a few seconds in, you can see that he's dropping his defense. It was just a matter of time before he was going to get caught. I felt like, I don't know what their game plan was, but it just got thrown out the window as soon as he got put on his ass. But it seemed like he was trying to come out and be aggressive, kind of like what he was going to try to do, like what Pitbull did to him, and kind of like trying to stifle Gervonta Davis and get him flustered and confuse him and all these things, but it didn't work. He was just getting timed, and he just got chin checked, and it kind of went the way that I expected it to. Maybe a round later than I expected it to happen, but the fight went exactly like I thought it was going to happen, except I thought he was going to get hit with a left hook to the head and get put out, not a body shot. But it was a great fight.
Great stuff, Tiffany. Steven, let's go to you. Give us your breakdown thoughts on that event, April 22nd.
It was pretty good. Just to really quickly piggyback on what Tiffany said, I'm watching the fight. My mom, actually, shout out from Houston, she came in. To Tiffany's point, one of the bangers that I listen to in the gym is Chief Keef Sosa. Like, you could load up 500 pounds on any type of bar, and I'm about to lift it on Chief Keef Sosa. My mom hears Ryan Garcia's song, and it's like, oh, that's sweet. And my mom's a big old Christian, Christian lady from, I can recite all kinds of Bible verses because I was drugged to church Sundays and Wednesdays. And when my mom is like watching the fight, she's like, oh, I'm rooting for him because that's a sweet song. I was like, oh my God, we're in trouble now. And to Tiffany's point and to Ryan's point, to Tommy's point, we all kind of knew how that was going to go down, but you kind of like, it's the great marketing. Well, what if? And the game plan, and everybody's saying it, Tank had a great game plan. I think you could even say the opposite to Ryan folded up and played right into Tank's hands. I'm watching it in round two. I see Tank smile, and I'm like, you know why? Because Ryan gave up his length, gave up the jab, and is trying to come at him like he's Marcos Maidana when we all know he's not. And the same thing that stopped Rolly, unfortunately, was him walking straight into Tank. So Tank's like, if you're going to walk to me, this is perfect. In my mind, I was like, you should have used your lightning quick jab that you do got. Use your strength. Jab, and make Tank come to you and maybe tire him out. That would have been a better game plan than, you know what? Let's just walk straight into the mouth of the lion here, and let's see if he just eats you up there. So the fight, like I said, everybody knew what was going to happen. Was Ryan going to be able to win off the points and make it 12? Or what, Mario Barrio style, where Floyd tells him in the corner, hey, bro, you're losing this fight because he was boxing him versus, or is it going to be a quick night? And it ended up being a quick night because Ryan gave up what little things he could have done to Tank early. So when I saw Tank smile, just because he was walking in, and then I'm having flashbacks of Rolly coming straight into him on the ropes, it's the same thing that other high IQ fighters do. Canelo, he'll lay on the ropes and tell you to come in, and you'll see B-Ball or Triple G be like, nah, I'll wait, we'll reset. And Tank, the same thing. Smart IQ said, hey, come on into camp, stupid. I'll knock you out right here. And that's what they did. So it was a great fight, great for the sport. It showed to a lot of people, hey, boxing's not dead. If you put a fight we want to see, we will pay for it. I tried buying it on the DAZN app 3 damn times before I had to go to Showtime. So I'll start a GoFundMe for me. But other than that, it was a great fight, and it shows that what the boxing fans can do for you if you sign up for stuff we want.
Hey, he wasn't no window shopper. He took him to the candy shop with them body shots.
Hey, and back in the day, he was the man, homie. And then we were like, what the hell
happened to you?
He's a window shopper.
Hey, they're not window shoppers now, though. They secured their money. They both got some cash. They're laughing to the bank.
Like a motherfucker PIMP.
Oh,
Hey,
Great stuff.
whoever said progress was slow, it was talking about me.
Oh man. Great stuff, Steven. Courtney, let's go to you, man. Give us your breakdown, your thoughts.
Man, y'all can't do my brother in Christ, Ryan Garcia, like that, man, for the walkout. You know, it's like y'all can't do that. Y'all can't do him like that, man. I mean, come on, hey, let's look at Chocolatito, man, who comes out to the same Spanish gospel song every fight and then be, you know what I'm saying, be tearing people up. You know what I'm saying? So I think he was trying to invoke a little bit of that. But yeah,
At least some Kirk Franklin.
Tommy, remember when we was in the building to see Spence versus Mikey Garcia, and on the walkout, I just looked at you and was like, yo, he about to beat Mikey's ass. Like that, you know, that was, collectively, it seems like that was the vibe.
Yeah.
on the walkouts. You know what? Hey, man, I want to give a shout out to Gervonta because I've been very vocal on wax and on the air for years, basically extolling this dude's defensive liabilities. And he was real crispy in there. The dude was elusive. He was, you know what I'm saying, it was like he put it together. Like I was waiting to see that. I knew he had that in him, but it was kind of like with Gervonta, it's kind of one of those things where he was, I'm not going to necessarily say he was Deontay Wilder in it, just depending on the, that God-gifted left hand. But it was like, it seemed like, you know what I'm saying, I got the power to bail me out on whatever situation I'm in. But then, and then we saw in the Esau Cruz fight where he had to get on his bike, he had to use the footwork, he had to, he had to show a jab, he had to be elusive because that lead hand was it was busted. And so I was just waiting for Gervonta to put together one of those aesthetically pleasing offensive, defensive masterpieces. And that's what we got last Saturday. You know what I'm saying? Took it to Ryan Garcia. Personally, I thought he was going to do Ryan the same way he did Leo Santa Cruz. But I was pleasantly surprised when he went to the body. And, from what we've been seeing, we see the commentators harping on these guys like, put in work to the body, don't headhunt, it seems like it's a commentary snag now. But people are listening, going to the body, that's in. And I love it because I'm a bigger fan of the body knockouts than, you know what I'm saying, when guys just go to sleep. Because, you know what I'm saying, you see, as a boxing fan, and you wanted to see that carnage, you want to see that blood and guts action in there, when somebody takes it to the body, you see the human suffering aspect in it. And, you know what I'm saying, I love it. I'm all for it. I need these guys in the game to continue with these body shot knockouts. And, you know what I'm saying, the nastier, the harder, the better. Because, you know what I'm saying, I just love to see it. And plus, it's safer like that, too. You you don't see about these guys going on the oxygen or getting gurneyed out when they go to the body. You know what I'm saying? It's an honest day's work. And that's what it seemed like. Ryan Garcia talked a lot of shit. He used his social media savvy to basically talk himself into an ass whooping. And, in the words of Terrence Crawford, well, did you find what you was looking for? You know what I'm saying? And basically he talked up on it, got in the ring and stumbled up on it. And it was, I didn't, I looked away for a second. I don't know if I was looking at my clock. I don't know if I was looking at my phone, but I looked away for a second. And then the next thing I know, I looked back at the TV and Gervonta Davis was on the top of the ropes, beating his chest, you know what I'm saying, getting his King Kong on. I was like, damn, And then as the replays, there was the social media conspiracy saying, that was staged.
Fake
Ryan
punch.
Garcia, he took a dive. Oh, he just quit in there. Da, da, da. Nah. And, you know what I'm saying? And it goes back to what I'm saying. I love the body shot knockouts because that's human suffering on display. Ryan Garcia, he felt all that. He was going on through all that. Ryan Garcia is vehement about Jesus Christ being his Lord and Savior, and he called on him in that moment. And you know what I'm saying, he needed to. You know what I'm saying, he needed to. They say unite your suffering to Christ on the cross. I don't think it was anything comparable to that, but he knew suffering in that moment. And Gervonta Davis, he put it there. He put it on him. And you know, that day, like I said, that was just one of those nights where boxing won, boxing fans won, and you know, it was value for money because I got to see a nasty body shot knockout, and I got to see Gervonta Davis. What I feel like he was the whole package that night. And you know, so when you got a guy who's the whole package versus a guy who is, you know, doing it for the vine per se, and you know, say just relying on that one thing. You know, listen, if Luke Campbell did that, you're foolhardy to believe that Gervonta Davis couldn't have done that. But hey, I think as boxing fans too, is we get stuck on notions. And we start seeing it for what we want it to be as opposed to what it really was. And so I think, you know, Tommy, I don't think that was foolhardy per se, as you kind of talked yourself into Ryan Garcia having a chance. You obviously weren't the only one if you saw the money line on the fight. But I think, I mean, that was the narrative that came out at the end, is that people were looking at this through rosier colored lenses than was necessary for Ryan Garcia. And that was what we saw. It was the result. And hey, I'm just eager to see where Gervonta Davis goes from here. Hopefully he makes better decisions after he deals with his bids that he's got, you know, coming up with Ryan Garcia. Give him props for keeping God in his life. That obviously helped him through his mental health struggles. And you know, I hope he keeps his chin up. And he sets about on that warrior mentality in terms of challenging himself and you know, and taking bigger challenges and giving the fans and the public fights that they want to see and that are intriguing. And it's, you know, in the boxing scene in 2023, that's what we see. We kind of saw it with Keith One Time Thurman, where he lost that O, and he was real greasy and real savage. I think married life got him, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, hopefully we see that with Ryan Garcia, is that there's no O left to defend or left to pad or whatever. So, you know what I'm saying? Hey, hopefully he's just one of those guys who's out there super saiyan savage and, you know, signing up to take the biggest fights out there.
Yeah, more to your point about the body shot in general. Yeah, I agree as well. I like to see more of that. Hopefully we will. And this month has been body shot craze this whole month, especially with Zepeda. Well, with this performance, yeah, and I would like to see more of that.
Hey, shout out to the commentary. I don't know if y'all caught it, but did you hear him when during the Tank fight when they said he made his liver quiver? Man, that right there about took me out.
Yeah. So, Jimmy Blue, give us your take on that big event, April 22nd.
Well, to Courtney's point, you know, Keith Thurman, I got that O, and I ain't afraid to let it go. You know what I'm saying? Ryan Garcia, Gervonta Tate Davis, man, this was one of the biggest fights in our era. I mean, the build up behind it, you know, two guys, undefeated fighters, willing to put their undefeated O on the line. And you know what, man? Both fighters delivered. I think that, you know, I was a little disappointed. You know, I was a little disappointed in Ryan Garcia's song selection. More or less, I was disappointed he didn't walk out with TD Jakes or Joel Osteen. You know what I'm saying? But I was morally disappointed because he didn't go to Sunday service that next morning. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, man, I think Ryan Garcia, this was the most focused that I've ever seen him. I mean, the guy was talking his shit. He was in the mind of Gervonta Davis. And at one point, I actually thought, you know what, man? This guy's either playing mind games or he really, truly believes in what it is he's in his mind is capable of doing to Gervonta. Gervonta, I've never seen him so pissed off, so upset. And, you know, it really, really allowed the animosity to build up to allow the fight fans to really buy into it, even the Christians and the non-believers and everybody that was, you know, tuned into this fight, because the casuals played a huge role in Saturday night. Now, we got to remember, you know, to Tommy's point, in the very first 5 seconds of the fight, as soon as Ryan Garcia came out, he came out the aggressor. He rushed Gervonta Davis. threw a left, and I was like, oh shit, we got up. Me and Tommy were looking at each other, bro. I was like, did you see that? Did you just see him drop his hands? Like, oh, bro, that's a recipe for disaster. You know, in the second round, there was a moment where where Davis Tank was kind of ducking his punches. And what did he do? He smiled. He smiled at what was coming, and boom, dropped him. But right before that fight, I remember Ryan just rushed him like a goddamn MMA fighter. And we were like, I got up and I said, Tommy, and Joseph, shout out to Joseph, was there. I was like, he's playing with fire. He's playing with fire. What is he doing? He's playing with fire. He's going to get burned. He's going to get burned. Boom! He gets dropped. We all go crazy. We're like, oh my God, what's going on? Like, you know what I mean? And, you know, a lot of it, in my opinion, a lot of it had to do with him being undisciplined, him not having the right game plan and the right mindset. I think he allowed his emotions to take its course. And you know, a lot of people are saying that, you know what, he would have looked better with Eder Reynoso. Joe Goosen is really not the type of coach to really, you know, that you would want in a big fight like that. And I have to agree, man. I think that, you know, there was rumors of Ryan Garcia. There was rumors of Ryan Garcia not going to training camp, training at his house, doing mitt work with one of his uncles, his cousins. And, you know, Joe Goosen's a professional. Joe Goosen's not going to, you know, air out dirty laundry. And we got to also remember the conflict of interest / nepotism that's going on within the workplace with Joe Goosen being the brother-in-law of Tim Brown, who was the promoter of PBC. Now, they talk about the Mo and this and that, or whoever, you know, was ratting out, you know, such and such. In my personal opinion, I happen to believe that, like to my boy Ringside Reese said, hey, man, during Christmas dinner and Thanksgiving dinner or Sunday brunches, there had to be some talk as far as what's going on in the gym where you got Joe Goosen and his brother-in-law meeting together for a Sunday carne asada. You know what I'm saying? It just has to be, bro. You know what I mean? I know that's a conspiracy. I can't prove it, but God damn it, I stick by it. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, it's all about family, bro. And you don't want to fuck up anything with family, and especially when it comes down to money. There was millions of dollars that was into this fight. Now, I'm not saying that it would have paid a difference. I'm not saying that Gervonta Davis would have lost this fight. This was the best Davis I've ever seen. The guy was fucking geared in. I mean, he was focused. He knew exactly what Ryan Garcia was going to do, when he was going to do it, and how he was going to do it. And my only hope is that Davis can somehow take that same energy, that same preparation into his next fights, which in this case, it looks like it's going to be in a court case, man, because it looks like he may be doing some time. If he does time, whether he sits out another year or two, there's going to be a big opening at 135 in which it will allow more people to root for Davis because they're going to want to see him fight, very similar to when Floyd got out of jail. Excuse me. But I just feel all in all, it was a great night of boxing. I think that Ryan Garcia, you know, when he took the body shot, he took a lot of criticism that said, oh, he could have got up from it. Oh, it's bullshit. I know that to my boy Courtney and my boy Aaron said, you know what? They love seeing body shots. I love seeing them too, but it's something about it where you just really, truly don't know if it's a really impactful shot or if a guy's really just taking a knee to quit to fight another day. And look, I get it, man. I'm not the one with the gloves, and it's easier said than done. But, you know, when you look at Ryan, he got hit. There was a delayed reaction. He stepped back. And when he took a knee, what happened? He was trying to breathe in through his nose. Blood started gushing out. So did the impact come up from, you know, his goddamn stomach all the way out from his nose? I mean, you truly don't know. But I think Ryan bit off more than he could chew. I think Ryan he didn't stick to the game plan. If he would have boxed, you establish his jab early, won in the earlier rounds, and try to take it late in the later rounds, try to catch him, you know, because we all knew Ryan was the faster fighter. He went in there reckless, man. He went in there very amateurish, and you can tell just in the ring there was levels. There was complete difference in levels. So that's really all that I have to say.
Hey, his mouth wrote a check that his ass nor his liver could cash, but his bank did.
Hey, has anybody in the panel caught the last episode of Max on Boxing?
Not yet.
Okay, so Max, he interviewed Timothy Bradley which y'all already know my views on Timothy Bradley's commentary or whatever.
Yep.
But hey, there's a lot of entertainment value in it though. You know what I'm saying? I like Timothy Bradley because at least, you know, if anything, I can laugh at his ass. But so Max Kellerman, he posed a question. He was like, yo, so in your opinion, did Ryan Garcia quit? And Timothy Bradley was like, yeah, unequivocally. There's no doubt about it. And Timothy Bradley was like, listen, there's a lot of analogies going around about, you know, what Ryan Garcia experienced versus what Vergil Hill experienced when Roy Jones knocked him out. He said the difference was Vergil Hill broke his rib. Ryan Garcia, he got up at 11. You know what I'm saying? Because he got up right after he's counted out, he stands up. Timothy Bradley was like, he got up at 11. Why couldn't he be got up at 9? You know what I'm saying? I'm just going to leave that there for the panel or whatnot. Personally, from what I saw on Ryan Garcia's face, like I said, it was human suffering, delayed reaction, blood coming out of the nose. It was, you know what I'm saying? It was all bad. And even if Ryan Garcia made that decision, like, well, yeah, I can get up, but I don't want anymore or whatever, that alone tells you the impact of the force of that punch that was landed on him.
Maybe he didn't want to get up because he knew if he got up, what was coming. So,
exactly. Yeah.
you know, like he never been on a stage that big to get knocked out in front of how many millions? Like on your back, take the knee.
Yeah. I mean, like exactly what we just saw with Zepeda. Like, you know, he got knocked down and he was clearly in immense pain and just kept getting up to just kept getting bodied. Like you said, Tiff, like maybe that was one of them things where he's like, you know what? I got to take the loss now before I take an even worse loss and make this look even worse off for myself. Like I'm about to lose. I'm done. Like, cause you could tell when he got hit, yes, the kneeling was delayed, but you also saw like he had like a little brief moment where he just kind of like tried to shrug his shoulder and you could see him wince. And then he tried to breathe before the blood came out of his nose. He tried to breathe, he inhaled and he winced again. And then that's when everything just happened. It's like, yeah, he probably could have got up at 9, but he would have got fucked up, you know, if he got up at 9, and that would look worse with him having all of those followers to where like Oscar saying, you know, trolling, you know, the other day and saying that Ryan is the face of boxing because Tank has sold, you know, every other pay-per-view he sold around 200,000 to 300,000, and now he sells this like Ryan is the face. He didn't want all of those people that were there to see him get just flat out demolished bad, like embarrassingly bad.
He was about to become
I
the
agree
meme
with
of boxing. Fuck the face, the meme.
Yeah, he was about to have one of the Pacquiao. Yep, he was about to have one of the Pacquiao moments and be on 50 different memes.
I remember when Oscar got knocked out by Bernard Hopkins. He was rolling around on the ground from that body shot. It's like, oh my God. I don't know if you got any of y'all box or got hit. I just go to practice and my ribs be on fire. My ribs, and I don't get hit with a lot of bite. That's from mitts. That's mitt work. So I don't know if you guys do that, but I know he got to be. I know that had to be painful for him. Most of the guys that I see get hit with that, they shit on themselves.
Yeah,
so maybe he did number 2, and he didn't want to continue to go to the
Hey, get ready for that, Steven, because you know you already know you want to go in state-of-the-art boxing gym and get it in with Coach. Get ready for that shitting session, bro.
Yeah, and going back to Tim Bradley's comment about why didn't he get up at 9? Well, even if he could, I mean, that shouldn't be no onus on Ryan Garcia as far as quitting. I mean, I think in those last few moments while he was still kneeling, I think in his mind he didn't have anything else to leverage against Gervonta Tank Davis. So, I mean, he couldn't picture any other scenario where he would come out on top. So he knew that it was Gervonta Tank Davis' night competitively. So that's how it went. That's how it played out. So I think that wraps it up for episode 90. Great back and forth on all the topics of tonight. William Zepeda showing out last night at Arlington, and also our belated review of Gervonta Tank Davis, 7th round KO victory on Ryan Garcia. Oh, I gotta add back Jimmy Blue before I end it. So yeah, thank you everyone. Shout out to everyone on the chat, engaging with us, Facebook, YouTube. So let me go roundabout. Jimmy Blue, again, congrats on your landmark number of followers. Big shout out to you. Congrats. Any last thoughts before we end it tonight? Go ahead, Jimmy.
No, man, I just appreciate everybody. Like I said, it's always a pleasure being able to speak with you, fine gentlemen and ladies. You know, with boxing, man, it brings, the beautiful thing about our sport is that it brings everybody together, whether we agree or disagree. We can at least add our own little spice, our own little twist, and our own viewpoints on a lot of different things. So that's what I really enjoy, especially when I talk boxing with Tommy and Reese, because I see them more on a day-to-day type basis. Obviously they're from the city, but it's always good to hear from other panelists, other boxing enthusiasts, boxing media, because at the end of the day, we may agree to disagree, but we can all, talk boxing and, again, bring up the sport that we love, man. And that's, the beautiful, because there ain't no other sport like it. You know what I mean? So I want to give a shout out to my sponsor, Elite Striping LLC. Shout outs to my boy Tommy, Aaron, Courtney, ringside, of course, Tiffany, everybody that tuned in today, everybody that showed love and support. Continue following the Standing 8 podcast, give them a like, share the videos, because these guys know they're boxing, and congratulations on episode 90, because that's a huge number.
Yeah, we're almost reaching this. We're also reaching that century number 100. So very excited about that. Yeah, thank you, Jimmy Blue. Tiffany, any last shout outs to First Lady of Boxing? Go ahead, Tiffany. The podium is yours.
Thank you, Standing 8 Podcast, for having me once again. Thank you to all the people that's watching, comments, all of that stuff. My son is fighting his first fight in a few weeks. He's like Ryan Garcia, and he's fighting somebody like Tank. So you can imagine how I'm feeling right now, right?
Oh, that's what's up.
Hopefully he's gonna be ready. But I want to shout out to all the USA boxing amateurs. They're going to be down in Lubbock, Texas, in about a month, fighting for the nationals. It's a big deal. Hopefully we get the Olympics in 24 and in 28. So please continue to support your amateurs. And of course, Ohio Runs Boxing. Shout out to them and everybody back home. Thanks for watching. Thank you guys for having me.
Great stuff, Tiffany. Stephen Ruiz, Ringside Global, definitely not a stranger on the program. Any last words, shout outs you want to give out? Go ahead, Stephen.
I want to first thank Standing 8. Man, it was instrumental this weekend because we were credentialed, so we were out there for the Zepeda fight. Tommy Rush, my partner in crime, the whole weekend. Shout out to him. Like, we were there Friday, Saturday, till, like I said, I got in after dropping Tommy off at 3 a.m. We wanted all the smoke, a la Frank Martin style. Like, if you're there, we're pulling up. And so we were there. Like I said, Friday we had dinner with Zepeda. He was he made me a fan, whether he wins, loses, or draws. It's just you want to root for people like that. So I really appreciate him and his time. Like I said, Frank Martin, I've been a fan of his too, and the way he conducted himself. He walked up like a gentleman, super respectful, and was like, "Hey, I'm a boxer and I want to fight." And that to me shows so much when he doesn't even have to say very much to it. So shout out to Aaron, Tommy Rush, Michael Gomes and Courtney and Jimmy Blue. I'd like if Tiffany Daniels could share her son's info so we could, post some on him and maybe get to see a little bit more on him and give him some exposure and love that he deserves, because I'm sure he's working out very hard in the ring. So you want to get that love too. Shout out to, for me personally, Coach Hector Lopez. He had a guy on the undercard. We wrote a story on him, and that thing went like wildfire for us. For me and my page, the mayor of that kid's town of Manor, Texas, reached out to him. They didn't know that they had that guy there. Goldenboy, they now know that they had that guy. He fought his second pro fight, 49 seconds in, Tommy was up there trying to get some photos. Before he could set up, this kid had the fight done. He knocked the guy out. He knocked him left hook to the head, I believe. But he was just landing punches and bunches, controlled barrage. Shout out to Caleb Maravilla Zuniga. Great second fight. It was his first fight in Texas, and he's from Texas. It was just awesome to see when you see an 18-year-old kid like that, just like Tiffany Daniels, son. I don't know his age, but you see the hard work they're doing. They're putting their stuff into positive work, and it's nice when it pays off like that for them because they're working hard for good stuff. So shout out to Coach Hector Lopez. He treated me and Tommy like sons this weekend, looked out for us the whole weekend, spent time. And these guys don't have to do this. At the end of the day, there's a lot of boxers and coaches that give time to All Access, to Standing 8, to Tiffany Daniels. All these guys, they don't have to give you quotes. They don't have to give you photos, but the ones that do, you really appreciate. So shout out to y'all. Man, I can't say enough good things about everybody that I've met. I just keep getting pleasantly surprised. That's everything from me.
Thank you, Stephen. Great words. Great words. Courtney, did you want to quickly chime in? Go ahead.
Hey, I'm about to bum rush the mic because I only got like 3
go ahead.
power on my phone. So
go
I'm gonna
ahead.
I'm gonna go ahead and shout everybody out before I lose power. But thank you to all the panelists, Tommy, Aaron, Jimmy Blue, First Lady Boxing, Tiffany Daniels, Steven. Hey, shout out to all of y'all for sharing the stage and just to making the shine that much brighter. Whenever we get like-minded people and diamonds polish other diamonds and iron sharpens iron, and that's basically just taking our show and our platform to a whole nother level. So thank you, and I hope this is a testament that there's enough of this boxing and this space to go around where platforms don't have to compete against each other, but we can collaborate and we can just make something better. Shout out to everybody in Pound for Pound on the Facebook group. I'm trying to re-engage and plug in with y'all a little bit more in my busy and hectic life. But hey, just want to give a shout out to everybody who gets a cracking on there. And hey, all of our fans and all of our followers and all of our viewers all around the world. Hey, we appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for being a part of this movement. Hey, tell a friend, bring a friend, and tell them to bring a friend. And hey, invite your neighbor, your next door neighbor, your cousin, your auntie, your uncle, hey, your baby mama, your significant other, whoever. Hey, bring them along for this movement. And like I said, we're trying to make something better, and we're trying to make a legacy, and we're trying to make this last because boxing is not dead. We love y'all. Thank you so much for loving us. Out.
Peace out, Courtney. Thank you. The Burt Brown Sugar, the one and only. Tommy Rush Jr. Any last closing thoughts you want to give out? Shout outs. Go ahead, Tommy.
Hey, so first off, just like everybody else, shout out to everybody here right now on this panel, man. This is phenomenal. And, to Courtney's point, like this is what we're all about. And I love that's what everybody on here right now is all about, is that cross collaboration, that working together, that, having that bond together in boxing and that love for the sport, to where, that is what's driving our intent here. And being able to have, these type of sessions where we can all get in here, get together and really get with it. Because this is what makes it great, what makes it fun. Shout out to all of our boys that was out there, at the fight, last night. Shout out to all of the media, Gary John that was out there, Jeff Zimmerman, Spit Bucket, everybody that was out there. Like, shout out to all of them, for also doing the same thing, loving the sport, putting in that work. Shout out to Michael Gomes, shout out also to Caesar Cutman C, out there, sitting down with state of art boxing, just having some time with us last night after the fights, just talking, shooting the shit and just kicking it, a little bit. We appreciate everybody. This this is phenomenal, man. Like I love when we can get together and do all of this stuff. We're gonna be doing this so much more. I can't wait. You know, we got fights in San Antonio. We got fights all over the place that we're gonna be looking to get it in with. So yeah, much love to everybody. Shout out to Manny Moreo, and long live boxing. Hope you feel better, man. I know you were feeling a little sick before. I hope you feel better. Shout out to the whole crew. You know, Manuel. You know, shout out to Sean Hicks, you know, shout out to Front Proof Media, you know, everybody, man. Like, much love to the whole crew. We on there. Let's go.
In vivo.
Yes, sir.
Them Hopper thoughts?
Yeah,
man,
Hopper.
I love those. Hey,
those are fire, man. Like,
and,
the
and one thing that I'm
animation,
so
like,
happy
they
about
got
is
it down
Courtney's
to a
battery finally
science,
ran
bro.
out.
Like, yeah. Yeah, in vivo. Hey, I'm gonna plug your latest comment in. Yep.
Yes, sir.
I can't do the accent like he does it, but you know,
In vivo.
You could visualize it in your head. But yeah, I like to say I want to give out the shout out to all the I want to start off, you know, I want to thank everyone, Tommy Rush Jr., Ringside Global, Stephen Ruiz, First Lady of Boxing from Ohio, Tiffany Daniels, Jimmy Blue, Jaime Garcia from All Access Elite, of course, the Bird Brown Sugar, Courtney Tanner, who was with us. He had to sign off because of his so-called 5% red bar on the top right of his phone.
It should have ran out an hour ago.
But yo, on a deeper level, I want to thank all of you guys presently in the stream and Courtney, because you know, before the stream, we've all been busy with our separate lives, our work outside of this podcast thing. You know, all tired up, but we were able to keep our energy level up, maintain it into this episode. And I just want to reiterate that to you guys and ladies, you know, for supporting this episode 90. You know, like, I mean, we still, like Wu-Tang Clan, 1997, we got reunited, you know, just like that. So, but yeah, shout out to all the programs out there, In Vivo Podcast, The Spit Bucket, Front Proof Media, Supreme Boxing,
3D Boxing.
3D. Forgive me, Gary Kittleson of 3dboxingblog.com. Shout outs to him. Everyone on the stream, on the chat, Julian Givens, shout out to him. Again, Manny Marrero Jr. from En Vivo Podcast. People from YouTube. I'm gonna highlight this user up. Shout out to you, man. Everybody who supported us all the way from September of 2017 up to episode 90, 2023. Thank you for all your support. This is episode 90. Signing out, guys. Have a great evening. Peace.